And welcome to this early edition of CBN4's Primetime News. I am your presenter, Sheena Harry, and making the news headlines. The Prime Minister suspends school and work. The police activate a disaster plan. And Kulibistri braces for Irma. Stay tuned for the details on CBN4's Primetime News. Welcome back to the news. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, speaking this morning on state-owned DBS Radio, announced that work and school have been suspended for today as the country prepares for the impact of Hurricane Irma. Although the full brunt of the Category 5 major hurricane will not be felt, Dominica is currently under a tropical storm warning. As government officials and the Office of Disaster Management continue to monitor Irma's development and movement, the Prime Minister recommended that businesses not remain open.
Fellow Dominicans and residents, as you're aware, for the past week or so, we have been following the movements of what was Tropical Storm Irma out in the Atlantic, moving towards the Caribbean islands. Today, Irma is a major Category 5 hurricane with 175 miles per hour, with its center only 240 miles east of Dominica. We are relieved that it does not appear that Dominica will see any hurricane conditions, but given the size of Irma and its proximity to Dominica, we have been placed under a tropical storm warning, which means that we can see tropical storm conditions later today. We have therefore decided to take the following courses of action out of an abundance of caution and concern for our people. Schools should be closed immediately for today, and tomorrow, Wednesday, there shall be no school. Work will be suspended from 12 noon for the public service, and we are encouraging the private sector to also close operations from 12 noon today.
Those who work in essential services, however, should report to work as usual. Skerrit also urged fishermen to stay off the water and pleaded with all those who live near waterways to remain vigilant.
We want to urge fishermen to use the next hours to secure all gear and not to venture out today. Shelter managers should arrange to have shelters open for persons who may need to use those shelters from about 11 a.m. today. Coastal residents and residents close to rivers and other waterways are asked to remain alert, and if the situation warrants moving, please do so early. We want to call on all residents to complete all preparedness activities and remain indoors this afternoon into tonight as much as possible, unless you have duties to perform. Our thoughts and prayers are with the people of Antigua and other islands north of Dominica, and we hope they will pull through without any damage.
Skerrit cautioned that no storm should be taken lightly, given Dominica's experience just 2 years ago with Tropical Storm Erica.
Do not take anything for granted, as we have, in recent memory, experienced the ravages of a tropical storm. This is a massive hurricane, as we've been advised, and though we will not be affected by hurricane conditions, we are now on a tropical storm warning, which means we will get some impact, but our hope and prayer is that we'll be spared. I want to again call on us to be prepared to the fullest, ensure that each of our families, our communities are secured, and we have all the essential items at our residence.
And of course, regular updates will be provided. Also making our headlines, the Superintendent of Police, Richmond Valentine, has informed that the police force has activated its disaster action plan. And this means that all police officers on the island are expected to report to work. According to Valentine, this plan will remain in effect until further notice. Valentine informed that the police will be working closely with the Office of Disaster Management, and he asked that Dominicans continue to take the necessary precautions and be cautious as the island braces for any impact from Hurricane Irma.
The Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force remains on the alert as we await the passage of that very threatening system. The Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force disaster plan has been activated, and as a consequence, all police officers will be at work today, throughout this evening, and until we get the all clear from the Office of Disaster Management.
And Valentine also informed that island-wide coverage of the effects of Irma will be provided by the police with respect to police patrols.
That is in an effort to put eyes on the ground so that we can provide any early warning information to the ODM so that the necessary intervention can take place. We have a mandate to protect life and property, and we will do that.
And he advised citizens to adhere to all the advice and warnings from the Office of Disaster Management to avoid any accidents or incidents. President of the Dominica Business Forum, Severin McKenzie, has advised the population, and in particular the private sector, to take all the necessary measures to safeguard life and property. As Dominica and the rest of the Northern Caribbean monitor the movement of Hurricane Irma and the potential devastation from Category 5 hurricane strength winds, high rainfall, mudslides, flooding, and other harmful effects associated with such a natural hazard.
The Dominica Business Forum wishes to bring to the attention of the business community, especially those with inventory of goods in their business places and warehouses, that special provisions should be made to secure their facilities, since there are predators who are waiting the opportunity to take advantage of the vulnerability that their facilities are exposed to. It is important to note that a significant amount of the loss suffered by the business sector in the aftermath of Hurricane David in 1979 was not associated with the hurricane, but the rampant looting, theft, and vandalism of private sector enterprises, which continued for days after the hurricane.
Additionally, McKenzie advised property owners who live away from their businesses to put additional security measures in place.
Property owners who reside away from their establishments are advised to put additional security measures in place, since they may not be able to access their property immediately after the event. The private sector is also advised to cooperate with the relevant authorities and take heed of any advisories issued related to the Hurricane Irma. The Dominica Business Forum joins the rest of the population in prayer and trusts that the Almighty Father will protect our homeland and the other islands of the Caribbean as we continue to monitor Hurricane Irma, and also recognizing the fact that the 2017 hurricane season is not yet at its peak, which is September 12th.
And of course, he encouraged all Dominicans to stay safe. Due to the impending passage of Hurricane Irma, Seabourn Airlines has announced that travel throughout the islands will be affected over the next several days. Safety of passengers and crews is their top priority. All Seabourn flights will operate until mid-afternoon today, weather permitting. Wednesday, all flights are expected to be cancelled. On Thursday, weather permitting, all Seabourn flights plan to resume at around midday, and for Friday, all operations should return to normal. For passengers who wish to rebook their flights, a one-time, no-fee flight change will be available for passengers traveling between September 4th and the 6th, and you can contact the reservations department. The airline asked that passengers continue to monitor local media and weather reports, and noted that they will be updating their flight status as they observe the progress of the hurricane. Seabourn regrets any inconvenience caused by these delays and cancellations as a result of the passage of Hurricane Irma. And also in our news, the National Bank of Dominica Limited announced the closure of all its branches from noon today due to the imminent adverse weather conditions. In addition to its branches, all ATMs were boarded up and inaccessible to customers from noon. The bank apologizes for any inconvenience caused and encourages everyone to make all the necessary preparations to stay safe. And NBD advises the public to continue to listen to the radio for further updates. Management of the West Coast Cooperative Credit Union took the decision earlier to close all branch offices at 11 a.m. to allow staff to leave at noon as preparations continue for the passage of Hurricane Irma. Members will be advised if any changes are made to opening hours for Wednesday. Although the full brunt of Irma will not be felt in Dominica, the credit union urges all members, especially those in areas prone to flooding, landslides, and falling rocks, to be extremely vigilant and to exercise extreme caution as a tropical storm warning remains in effect for the island. Members in Coolibri and Coliho are particularly called upon to take any measures necessary to secure life and property, said Acting General Manager Erickson Robinson. And the credit union joins all Dominicans as we pray that Hurricane Irma spares us from any devastation. DOWASCO has issued a call for members of the general public to ensure that they have sufficient water storage in their homes. Public Relations Officer at DOWASCO, Edward Regis, informed that DOWASCO's sources will be affected as Dominica is currently under a tropical storm warning.
We expect to get inclement weather, and we know in Dominica with inclement weather our rivers are some of the first areas that get impacted. We also expect that there could be some damage to some of our intakes. Many of our intakes remain vulnerable from the passage of Tropical Storm Erica 2 years ago, and so landslides and other factors can affect our intakes, and so therefore it is most likely that we will have to shut down our water supply. Now, at this point in time, throughout the country, we still have potable water. None of our water systems appear to be affected as we speak now at almost 11 o'clock on Tuesday morning. So we would like to advise members of the general public to collect water in clean, covered containers. Collect enough water for at least a day or two, at least 5 gallons per person in your household. Don't forget the pets, that is very, very important. Now,
Regis informed that DOWASCO will keep the water supply on for as long as possible. However, in doing so, they would have to ensure that all storage tanks are filled.
That means, though, that water will be depleted, particularly if these areas in the north or throughout the country are affected. That is why you should have water in storage, so you can use the water from our storage tanks, and it will be depleted very quickly, but you would already have some water in storage that you can use when the supply is totally out. That is why we are encouraging the collection of water. Most of all, we're telling people to keep safe, keep very safe, and to ensure the safety of property, because this is a serious storm. It is a very, very, very serious storm, and we have to take all precautions to ensure that we protect life and we protect property, but DOWASCO will do all in its power to try and ensure the supply of water.
He also indicated that after the passage of Hurricane Irma, DOWASCO will be on the ground to restore water as soon as possible.
After the passage of the storm, we will also be working assiduously to return the supply if it has been impacted. If it is serious, if we have some areas that are seriously affected, DOWASCO already has several plans in place to ensure that we can either truck water to various communities or install temporary storage tanks and so on. That is already in place. That is part of our emergency plan. We reviewed that plan just a day ago, and we continue to review.
Regis emphasized that at least 5 gallons of water per person in any household should be collected for domestic use. He also cautioned Dominicans to conserve the water after it has been restored. And with the impending weather, sports on the island will also be affected. Here's Ali and Christopher with more.
As preparations continue throughout Dominica and the rest of the Northern Caribbean, as we monitor the development and movement of Hurricane Irma, the Dominica Amateur Basketball Association, the DABA, urges everyone to take all the necessary precautions to safeguard life and property. Although the full brunt of Irma will not be felt in Dominica, the potential still remains for devastation from Category 5 hurricane strength winds, high rainfall, mudslides, flooding and other harmful effects associated with such a natural hazard. Clubs, teams, players and fans, especially those in areas prone to flooding, landslides and falling rocks, are urged to be extremely vigilant and to exercise extreme caution as tropical storm warnings remain in effect for the island. The DABA has decided to suspend all activities until further notice and will continue to monitor Hurricane Irma as decisions are made concerning the scheduling of games. The DABA joins Dominicans here and abroad in prayer and trust that our country will be spared from any form of devastation. This is Alian Christopher reporting for CBN4 News.
The communities hardest hit by Tropical Storm Erica 2 years ago, Coolibistri is bracing for the impact of Hurricane Irma. Chairperson of the Coolibistri Monrachet Village Council and of the Disaster Committee, Erickson Robinson, told CBN4 that the community is not taking this storm lightly.
From the Coolibistri Monrachet Village Council standpoint, and also from the Disaster Committee standpoint, we have made all the necessary preparations for the passage of this weather system. However, Coolibistri itself poses its own unique challenges.
With a river running directly through the community, Robinson noted that this continues to pose a threat to villagers.
We have sought to advise persons who are close to the river to evacuate to the Monrachet Community Center, that is Moratco, which we have already activated since last evening. So the community center, I can report, has been open from 6 last evening, and I know there is already somebody at the community center. So it says that our people are in fact taking heed to the necessary advice that we have been able to offer, and they have been listening to the media.
Robinson noted that efforts are being made to clear all waterways and dredging of the river is taking place. Caretaker of the Salisbury constituency, which includes Coolibistri and Monrachet, Nicole Shanks Esprit, provided more information.
We started dredging the Coolibistri River from the bridge down to the mouth of the river from Saturday. As we speak, work is ongoing in dredging the river and taking out as much stuff from the riverbed so that if the river has to be flooded due to heavy rain, it would have an easy path down to the sea and not build up and come and flood the people. Work is ongoing on that.
Esprit noted that culverts are also receiving some attention to minimize flooding. Erickson Robinson assured that support will be available for the most vulnerable.
we are on standby for the elderly and particularly single mothers with 1 and 2 children. So we have put things in place to ensure that our persons are safe. But I want to just, on a point of caution, draw to the attention of the residents that we should continue to be vigilant. Let's pay attention to the advisories that are being offered.
Robinson went on to say that community members should not wait until the system is upon them to take the necessary actions, particularly those residing close to the river. And Dominica may not be in the direct path of the catastrophic Category 5 hurricane, but our neighbors in Antigua and Barbuda are bracing for a near-direct hit. Alicia George with the Antigua Observer told CBN4 that the storm is not moving as far north as they had hoped.
So for now, the weather is overcast with scattered showers. Meteorologists were hoping that Irma would track north, but unfortunately that did not happen, and it seems that the hurricane is heading straight towards Antigua and Barbuda. Last night, a live feed from the meteorological services here suggested that the eye could pass directly over Barbuda.
George informed that Prime Minister of Antigua Gaston Brown has been keeping citizens abreast with the latest information.
Prime Minister Gaston Brown last Friday addressed the nation, just letting residents know that the authorities were getting prepared. But at that time, there was about a 50% chance that Irma would affect the state. They were still hoping that it would go north. He had said then that they have mobilized the Central Board of Health and the solid waste departments to clean up the major drains and remove debris.
And according to George, all hands are on deck and contingencies have been made for those who will be putting in the extra hours.
Also, the head of the Defense Force was coordinating with the National Office of Disaster Services to firm up a contingency plan to save lives if necessary. He had ordered the Antigua Public Utility Authority to cut hanging trees and to clear shrubs, and that would actually impair the recovery of services once Irma hits. He also said that they had made available $500,000 to meet additional operating costs and for overtime for everyone that had to be working, the police officers, the defense force, medics, etc.
She noted that the Ministry of Health has asked that no bulk waste be set out at this time. Additionally, as expected, all schools have been closed.
Schools are scheduled to open yesterday and today, of course, had been ordered closed. Some businesses didn't open at all today, while others are closing early, and everyone is being advised to rush last-minute preparations and to head to shelters if needs be.
George is urging all residents of Antigua and Barbuda to take heed of all the warnings and advisories.
Everybody is being advised to take heed, go to hurricane shelters if you need to, get your teen stuff, unplug your electronics, your refrigerators, anything that you have. Don't go out yet. Wait till the storm passes. Stay as safe as you can. And that's all we can do for now. As I said, right now the weather is overcast with scattered showers. It's very humid. For the past 3 days, it's been very, very humid.
And we want to thank Alicia George for that report. And with that, we've come to the end of the Primetime News. If you've missed any of the stories, catch up on cbn4.com or visit the Facebook page. And if there's ever a story you'd like for us to cover, then send us an email to cbn4news@gmail.com. And of course, here at CBN4, we will be keeping you up to date with the latest weather information, and we ask that you continue to make your preparations and stay safe. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Sheena Harry. Thank you for watching.